If you've ever hit dinner time already exhausted, wondering why everything feels so hard, you're not alone. In this video, I'm sharing how I start my mornings to make the rest of the day, and even tomorrow, feel lighter. From fresh ground biscuits and sourdough baking, starting dinner early, trying out a new handmade soap recipe, prepping for a no-spend January, and using up pantry overflow. This is simple, intentional homemaking with kids at the counter, messes included, and somehow it all works. Good morning. I am going to be making some fresh ground flour biscuits this morning and some kind of meat on the side. I haven't quite decided yet. My kids don't usually like biscuits and gravy, so it might just be bacon or sausage on the side. I'm going to show you how I make fresh ground flour. They definitely don't rise as much as all-purpose, and you just saw me make some buttermilk by doing a little bit, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You can use any vinegar, and some milk. And so I did that first because I want that to settle and curdle before I get everything going. I'm gonna do this in the food processor because I'm one of those people, I love to bake, but I don't like getting my hands dirty. I don't know why. So if it wakes the kids, it wakes the kids. I only have one awake. So let me show you how I do that. I need my coffee. And I do have my oven preheating at 450, and I'm going off the recipe for this one. She does it with all-purpose. Again, I'm doing it differently. And the general rule of thumb is for converting all-purpose recipes to fresh ground flour recipes is that you're going to add about a 1/4 cup extra. I don't necessarily do that up front. I wait to see the consistency, especially since fresh ground flour absorbs differently. And every recipe is different for that. So that's just a rule of thumb. So if you feel like you have to add more, you can keep that in the back of your head, about a 1/4 cup extra per all-purpose cup of flour. This is old soft wheat that I've had in the fridge that I did probably about a week ago. So the nutritional value is definitely down, but I'm going to use it. And then I ground some last night before bed just to make sure that I would have some this morning. And so it says, what am I doing? 3.5 cups of flour. So it's about a tablespoon of baking powder, teaspoon of salt, and now 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay. And then now I gotta chop up my butter. You probably hear in my voice. It's quite windy outside, and I haven't taken my nettle this morning. Yesterday I had to take a lot of nettle. A lot. And so once I'm done getting the breakfast ready, I will probably brew some tea and take a tincture. And one of the other reasons I like using the food processor for making biscuits, because I don't really have to like shave it or chop it too much. But it does create a lot of extra dishes, so pick your poison. Yep, and so that's the pea-size consistency that you're looking for. And so now so this has gotten thicker from the apple cider vinegar. So this is what you do for buttermilk. Unless you have a farm, then you can just use your own buttermilk. I also do have buttermilk powder that I will be using in the pantry challenge coming up. So, because I need to get it out of my pantry. I don't use it anymore. So I'm just gonna do this. Oh, yep. So I might add just a little bit more flour, like I said. I have a lot of things today that I'm hoping to get to, and I'll share with you once I get this in the oven, what I plan on doing. And the oven is preheated. I've been told that when you do the biscuits, you just want to go straight down like this and pull straight up. You don't want to do the little twisty because that will prevent it from rising. And so I've just gotten in the habit of that because, like I said, these don't typically rise for me too much. So if that's important to you, this is probably not the best recipe at this moment, but I've done other recipes and this one is the best for conversion that I've found. If you have one, drop it in the comment and let me know what is different. And I am doing thicker biscuits because of that reason, and I'm also doing the big ones. So while those are cooking, I want to go over with you my ambitions for today. So I want to get some sourdough bread going, specifically the artisan bread and some French bread. I also want to get more croutons done with my leftover sandwich bread that I have. I've got the biscuits going. And then I also want to start planting my garden for next year. And I also want to make more granola bars and possibly some roasted pecan chocolate chip cookies. We'll see how much I can get done today. We are not in school with the kids right now, so I don't have to do school lessons with them. So that could help me actually get through most of this. But they're kids. Let's see how much they let me get done today. So stick around and see what I get done. Oh, and I also want to try out a new hand soap recipe that I have been working on using my rose or lavender hydrosols that I made in a previous video. I'll put that in the description box below if you're curious how I make those. But I want to test one of those recipes today, so, and I'll share that with you. I like to cut my links. Don't want them falling at me though.
Wow, Mom, Mom. Oh, they're all done.
Yep, they look done. I'm actually really surprised that these actually did get a little bit more fluffy. These biscuits came out absolutely delicious, and I don't know if you can tell, but the butter is trying to fall off my knife because they were still so hot when I cut into them. And this is the jelly that I made in a previous video, and I will link it in the description box below for you, but it has been absolutely wonderful. The grapes were gifted to me from a dear friend. Only have one kid awake, so here we go. One of the ways that I find the easiest to stay less stressed throughout the day is to keep up with the dishes. I don't always get it done the night before, unfortunately, which would be best practice. But as I'm going through my day, I'm just kind of shuffling things between the dishwasher and hand washing. And that way I don't feel backed up and we actually have enough stuff to eat with. Feeding your sourdough starter doesn't have to be complicated. You'll notice I'm not really measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing everything, including the water, until I get to the consistency that I want. And generally, I would not have filled it this far up unless I wanted to have a big mess, but I knew I was going to be using it right away, so I took the chance. I'm going to be making dinner. I'm going to start it in the crock pot, since I have an ambitious list to do today of things. So I want to get dinner going. So I'm just going to put a pork butt in here with some water and some spices because I don't have any broth defrosted right now. I actually might need to make broth today too. What? You forgot to zip it?
Yeah.
Okay. So always keep that in mind. Getting dinner going whenever you can. Because if you're like me and you kind of peter out in the evening, this is a lifesaver. You can saute and everything in this beforehand, kind of like your Instant Pot, but I like this better. I don't have the new Instant Pot that has the little tabbies, so I like this. I'm not going to saute anything in it right now, but I am going to just throw this in here to cook. There we go. So basics, salt, some pepper, garlic. This is onion powder, and then just some Italian seasoning for good measure. And I guess I will do about a quart of water in here. So I will keep the drippings from this and probably make a gravy with it tonight. So I'll probably do like potatoes or something. You don't always have to do anything fancy from a cookbook. You can just throw something in the crock pot, put some herbs and spices together and call it a day, and just think of what you're gonna add to it that you have in your pantry. And that's what I'm gonna be doing a lot in January for the 3 Rivers Challenge for the pantry clean out. Now I don't have a lot of like freezer like meats and things like that I need to clean out, or the dairy. But I do have a lot of pantry staples and old canned foods from even several years ago that I need to clear out. So I'll probably be doing a lot of things like this. Just having this already done is a huge weight lifted off of me. And if you're a busy mom or just even a busy person working and coming home, you probably appreciate something like that. So again, doesn't have to be complicated. Throw it in there and be done. So these are the bones that I've been saving after dinners. I'm just gonna put these in the Instant Pot since I realize I need broth. And I'm gonna let it go probably till tomorrow. I'm gonna do, I don't remember how long. I rarely do it in the Instant Pot. Usually I do the roaster oven. But I'm gonna do this today just to get it done a little bit faster. And these are already cooked, so I'm not worried about like roasting the bones beforehand. I may still add some of the apple cider vinegar like I normally do. And there's a bunch of herbs and spices on here, so I'm kind of going to see how I'm gonna go. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here and get it going for the day. I guess I only needed 2 bags because that's already pretty full. So I'm gonna go fill this with water now. I do actually have some vegetables in the fridge that I've been holding on to for this too. So I think I'm gonna go grab those. So I have chickens, so I really rarely ever keep this much stuff over, but I did, so I'm gonna use it. It's just celery and onion, a little bit of carrot in there. So now I'm going to go fill this with water. Okay, we're full as much as we can. Whoa. Okay, so this is only gonna let me do 6 hours. So hopefully, again, I usually use my roaster. I might even start the roaster today. Not sure how ambitious I am. This is the week of New Year's Eve. Will I have time to can is the question. I generally like to mix my grains, but if you don't have multiple grains and you're just starting out, don't worry about that. You'll learn what you like down the road. I'm gonna do the sourdough French bread recipe from Lisa's book. It's on page 143. I'll link the book below if you don't have it yet. She may even have it on her blog. Working with little kids underfoot can become very complicated if you are very task oriented. And this is something that I have always been, and I'm really, really striving to do better. As a nurse, I became very task oriented, or the profession fit me so well because I was already, but I have to let that go out the window and just focus on spending time with my children while they're little and showing them how to do things and just meeting them where they're at and enjoying the time I get to spend with them doing all of this. So while it does always take me longer, I feel like we are all better for it in the end. As you can see, my toddler just wants to be next to me, and I'm just choosing to focus on the fact that he wants to be near me, because at some point in my life and in his growing up, he is not going to necessarily want to be there next to me. I'm now going to do my basic artisan sourdough bread that I have done several times, so I'm not really going to spend too much time going through the motions with you on this particular video, but it is a super simple recipe, and on this day I am going to be doing part fresh ground flour and part all-purpose. I seem to enjoy this a lot more, and the family seems to enjoy it a lot more than just the regular fresh ground flour. So if you're intimidated with fresh ground flour, don't think that you can't tweak recipes like this and just do percentages of each until you get the hang of it. I remember when I first tried a full 100% fresh ground flour recipe for this sourdough artisan bread, it came out like a brick to me. And it was very disheartening. So take slow steps, and it will be less stressful for you in the long run, and will set yourself up for success a lot quicker. So now I'm gonna make the toasted pecan chunk chocolate chips in this. I don't know why, but yesterday when I was doing my meal planning, everything in this book looked good to me, and I had to restrain myself from putting absolutely everything in here on my weekly meal plan. So, but this one, my daughter has been bugging me for cookies, and my other daughter is not here who does not like pecans, so I figured I would give this a try right now. Sound good, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by toasting the pecans. I need to preheat the oven. I'll put them on this pan after I give them a little chop. These are the whole ones from Costco.
Cookies!
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 Cookies! So I'm just doing a rough chop to have these as best I can. I don't want super tiny pieces, I don't think. Do you say pecans or pecans?
Pecans.
I say pecans. I'm assuming it's a Western way of saying it. I'm assuming the South or something says pecans. Or I could be wrong.
Pecans.
What do you think?
Pecans.
Ah! What are you doing down there?
Pecans. There's pecans, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Pecans. good.
So I should have read the directions because it says let the pecans cool to room temperature, and then chop them coarsely. So I did it backwards.
Mom,
Whoops.
you didn't do cookies.
I haven't done the cookies yet. We're gonna get to the cookies.
Well, why?
That's the first step of the cookies.
Why do you did?
So now I gotta make the dough.
Why?
Well, how else am I gonna have cookies without the dough?
Make it small ready.
What?
Make it small ready.
Oh my goodness. Gonna make brown sugar. Oh, I gotta get an egg. Do we have a clean one?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, let's clean them. And then I need the discard, vanilla, the flour, salt, soda, and powder. So I don't buy brown sugar.
Yeah.
This is a half a cup of each, and I'm just gonna add the molasses to it because that's how I roll. My kids really enjoyed just spending time with me on this day, especially when they figured out that I was making cookies, and you could see my toddler was there thoroughly enjoying this chocolate chip bag. He was quite entertained, and it made the morning feel much lighter to me, being able just to have these moments and making memories with my children. Those look done. Here, let me see. We gotta make the cookies. I definitely recommend, if you make these cookies, to spread them out and give them some space, way more than I did, and just do more batches because they really do expand quite a bit. Definitely did these too close, but the kids won't care. Doing stretch and folds on sourdough can seem intimidating, but it really is very minimal effort. I like to put water on my hands to help prevent it from sticking because, again, I really just don't like dough on my hands. I know, that's so weird. Forgive me. But this takes, I think I did this 2 or 3 times at most this day, and that was all it needed. It did not need any more than that, and took me maybe 5 minutes extra time total all day. This is the all-around nourishing tea that I've made. It's like the Nora tea. I'll put the recipe to it from my blog post in the description below. But then I've also added, for this time of year, like a little bit of elderberries, rose hips, and hibiscus and lemon balm. And you'll notice I took out the raspberry leaf. So I guess it is very different. But it's essentially 2 parts nettle, 1 part oats, alfalfa, lemon balm, and then probably about a half to a quarter of what's left, if you're curious. And when I say a part, I make about, the part is usually about a cup, just to make it easy for myself when I'm making them in large quantities. So it's like 1 cup or 2 cups, 1 cup, 1 cup, and then like probably about a quarter cup. You don't need much of the rose hips and stuff, but so I'm gonna do that today. It'll help with the allergies and nourishing for women especially, and just all around. And then the lavender, chamomile, and ginger that I made on one of the recent videos for the kids, along with the last one. I typically add this if I'm not making my gentle detox because it doesn't have any of the green tea in it. And I like the, and the sencha powder is essentially the same thing. It's a different type, but same family. And I'll add this with my honey and mix it in since it's the edible version. Unfortunately, our dryer is on the fritz and doesn't like to do its cycles. We're thinking it's a heating coil, and we are having someone come out to look at it, but it is really old, and so here we are currently. I'm just gonna do a small tester for this recipe that I have compiled. And because I don't keep distilled water, I wanna see how it works with a hydrosol. I did this in a previous video. It says April with my distiller that I have, and I'll link that below if you're curious as to how I do it. There's also some shorts if you want something really quick on how to do it. But basically that's the same thing as distilled water, right? Using a distiller. So I'm gonna use a spearmint hydrosol today. I have rose, I have lavender. So you could do a rosemary, that would be really nice, but it does take time. And because I haven't been using it, obviously it's sitting here, I'm gonna try it today and see how it works. I'm gonna use some vegetable glycerin, calendula oil, and I need to go grab the actual Castile soap, but I'm gonna try this and let's see how it goes. And if you're wondering why I have such ginormous jars of stuff, it's because I used to have my herbal shop, and I would sell stuff like this by the ounce for people so they wouldn't have to buy it through Amazon or anything. And it was, that's my baby, and it was a local option for them. So let's grab my goodies. We'll see how well this works. I'm probably gonna make a mess. And I'm just gonna do some peppermint to go with the spearmint for the essential oil for this, which obviously you can leave it out. So because I'm using a mason jar, I'm just gonna pour. I'm gonna do about 3/4. And that smells so good. If you've never made a hydrosol, make a hydrosol. And then I'm gonna add some calendula infused oil because calendula is so good and nourishing for your hands. Let's see. And I just have a lot I need to use. And let me know what you guys think of this. Like, should I add, subtract? Got questions about it? Let me know in the comments. And then the glycerin. Do about another one of these. A 1/4 cup or more of the soap. You definitely don't have to buy soap in this quantity. Mine is special circumstances for sure. And I'm adding the soap pretty much last. I just have the oils left. Wait, I didn't do any castor oil. I guess I wasn't gonna do that. That was for a different one I was doing. But you're gonna add it last so you're not making too much bubbles. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and, do I need to add this? It doesn't hurt. And just gently stir to combine. You don't want to vigorously shake it. Please don't do that. And I created this recipe based off of multiple ones that I went and found, and I tailored it to what I had on hand and what I wanted to use. Okay. Now I get to go try it. So it's definitely thin. That feels nice. Got pretty good lather. It doesn't feel oily or anything. Doesn't leave my hands dry or oily. It leaves them nice. I would say it's a win. So for dinner, I did decide to do potatoes, but I also just wanted to go ahead and use up what we had in the fridge with carrots, onions, and some broccoli that we needed to get to. So I just ended up roasting them and putting some seasonings and oil with them. I think I used rosemary and some garlic salt and some pepper, and it came out absolutely delicious. The meat also came out really well, very tender, and we ate off of it for several days. So doing a big upfront cooking of meat can definitely stretch your budget. And I do have the drippings in the fridge to make gravy with, and if I don't get to it, it will go into the freezer and get used up this month. I'm just getting the sourdough ready to go to bed, so to speak, by shaping it, and I'm going to be putting it in plastic bags and then into the fridge. The sourdough French bread that's over there on the right-hand side, I do end up putting in our garage because it's much colder in there at night and it didn't over ferment by any means. If I didn't have that option, I definitely would have put it in the fridge just to slow down its fermentation process because I don't want to overproof it. I've had that and it is not the best thing in the world to try and eat. So for the veggies, I just took them out once and stirred them and they came out absolutely fantastic. There was nothing left. So the next morning, I just go ahead and take out my sourdough from the fridge and I am preheating my oven to 450 degrees. I already have my cast iron pans in there heating up with it. And I have already made breakfast for the children so that they can, you know, lack of a better term, leave me alone for a little bit. When they have full bellies, they tend to do that a lot more often than not. The French bread was actually a lot easier than I imagined, and it did come out really well. It's just you're having to flatten it out, roll it up, and pinch off the sides. I did run this twice yesterday, so 2 6-hours, and then I've let it sit overnight. So I'm going to end up straining this once I get all the bread in the oven, and we'll just put it in jars for the fridge or the freezer. I'm not going to can this amount. I do have a lot of bones, so I do need to do the roaster at some point soon. Let me know if you need another video on how to do broth. If not, I will just show it to you, or I'll just put it in the description box below for you again. But this smells really good, and I'm not a big broth fan. I'm not someone that can sit there and sip on it, but this actually does smell pretty good. So I have my bread out here sitting on the counter while I have the oven warming up. But once I get these in the oven, I'm going to try and get the rest of that list done today that I had mentioned yesterday along the lines of pantry inventory. I'm not going to be getting to the seeds, unfortunately, I don't think. I'll do that probably this weekend and I'll record it for you guys. Yeah, life happens. You get exhausted. I did prioritize walking 2.5 miles yesterday with my neighbor, and that felt really good and re-energized after the morning. If you followed me on Instagram, you saw my exhausted face after getting everything done. But so after this, I'll do the pantry inventory for the no spend of January and possibly stretching into February. Gonna kind of reevaluate at that for the 3 Rivers challenge. Into this one, and it's gonna, stick to the sides. That one was a flop today, but it'll still be eaten. For the leftover vegetables or spent vegetables and the bones, I went ahead and gave all of that to the chickens. They had a feast and a lot of protein that day, which makes our eggs even better. So because I do plan on putting some of these into the freezer, I did not fill them all the way. You don't want to go above the bend, and you always want to use wide mouth so that the expansion does not crack your glass. And these are, like I said, these are still warm, so I actually have to let these cool off before I can even do that. But this is a lovely dark, and it's already starting to have some of the separation. So if I had wanted to take the fat out of this, I would have put that pot into the fridge and putting it into, let me get down here, and I would put it into the fridge, and then the fat would solidify, and you can just take that off and you don't have to deal with it. With my kids being as scrawny as they are, I like them to have the fat. And if I did want to sip on this, I would prefer to have that for extra nourishment if I did a detox or anything with healing your gut. So I like keeping that as an option. So you can see where it's stuck to the side because it flopped out, but it still rose pretty decently. And if anyone knows how to get all of this out of my bread baking pan, because this is my expensive one. This is the French brand. And it's just like caked on there. Is it baking soda? What? Something. Let me know in the comments how to clean this poor baby up. So I'm going to use half of this to make some more croutons / breadcrumbs. Just because I know we're not going to get through all of this before it goes bad. And my oven's already hot from baking the sourdough. So I'm just going to start it. And the kids really enjoyed the croutons as a snack last week that I made this. I just used a little oil and Italian seasoning, and they snacked on it like it was candy. This bread was absolutely ginormous. It was in one of those all-American pans. It just keeps overproofing, and I can't really use it for sandwiches too much because it becomes so thin in the center. So I have been making a lot of croutons and therefore eventually breadcrumbs from it. And that seems to work just fine. I need to just continue to use different loaf pans for now because it just doesn't seem to work for me. I don't know why. I put the French bread in with the croutons and turned up the oven heat, and that was not a good idea. I should have waited. I got a little distracted, so this is after me turning it, and it got a little crispy in there. But as you can hear the kids, such is life. It'll still be edible, it'll still be good. And I can always grind it up and make it into breadcrumbs to put into meatloafs or meatballs or anything along those lines. So it will get used. These look pretty done now. Could definitely just melt the butter and put the butter on, but this seems simpler to me. So I had showed you in the previous video, we had a bunch of these buckets out in the garage, and in preparation for the 3 Rivers Challenge this month, I wanted them brought in because out of sight, out of mind. And as you can see, I have a whole ton of food, and even one of these buckets right here, I didn't realize was actually full of bread flour, and it has been there for years. And yes, I will use it. I will use that up, and I will not feel bad about it at all. But as you can see, we do have a lot of food to get through, and that is the whole point of this. I have a lot of things in this cabinet that are up high in the back that I have not used in quite a while. And I will feel really good about getting through those and making space for other things, especially this upcoming garden season. I am not pregnant, and I am going to go to town on my garden and with preserving food. And I would like to have a pantry that can accommodate all of those ambitions. So I need to get through as much as possible and not let things go to waste. As you can see, I still have a lot of canning things that are actually from a couple years ago that is on my to-do list, and hopefully nothing goes to waste. With the cost of groceries right now, that would just absolutely break my heart and our budget. And that is not something I look forward to doing. With our freezer, I have, like I've mentioned before, a lot more chicken bones to go through. I even have a bunch of beef bones that I need to go through, so I will be doing that as well this time. My parents just gifted us a bunch of Omaha steaks for Christmas, and I had a dear friend bring me this beef fat that they said they couldn't get to, so I'll be making some tallow soon. And I also have some odds and ends throughout the freezer, like these chicken drippings from a while ago that I need to use up in like a stew or soup or something. And then I even have this lovely, lovely thing of liver that I bought several years ago to boost my iron in my last pregnancy. And clearly that worked out really well because it's still there. And I do have a lot of tomatoes from the garden last year and the year before. And there's a whole bunch of peppers that I have frozen down there. So now I know what I really need to pull from. Mainly these 5 buckets over here. These ones are mostly my berries and oats, popcorn, things that I stock pretty often. This is overflow of oats, but so those 5 came from the garage. So I think with all this, I'm gonna call that a day. Start making some lunch for these running around children. And I will see. Yeah. This is why I normally do voiceovers. So I will see you in the next video, and I will be going over the seeds for the herbs that I plan to start and do this upcoming year. Bye.